I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making Sheryl's Crystal Ice Bracelet. It is a showstopper for sure, and if you need any materials, check out the links to shop with us at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So we're going to begin this Crystal Ice Bracelet with 2 needles on some .006 wildfire beading thread. Size 10, 11, 12 needle, it does not matter. If you want to do a button on the clasp, you can totally do that. I'm going to be using a push clasp, a clasp guard in Potomac's push clasp that I'll then put a Rivoli in. The first thing I'm going to do actually is add the clasp. So I have a needle on each end of my thread, and I'm going to take my wire guard, and I'm going to put 1 needle down one side of the wire guard. It's like a U channel there. And I'm going to put 1 needle down the other side. Let that drop down to the end of your thread until you have an equal amount. From here, I'm going to disconnect the side of the clasp from the other one. And I'll start with the lighter end just because then it's easier to hold as I'm working through. You're going to put your thread and needle one side through that little tongue of the clasp and let that drop down into the wire guard. From here, grab 1 11/0 seed bead with both your right and your left needle. And for this, I'm using the Miyuki brand Crystal Labrador Full, which is a Czech coating. Then I'm going to do one more 15/0, where this time, or sorry, one more 11/0 rather. And I'm going to take both needles through the 11/0 so that they have 2 threads going through. From here, we're going to really start a very, very simple design. This looks very complicated, but it's just 3 passes of our thread and needle. So I'm going to flip it over to the back. The first thing that we're going to be doing is using our 4mm pearls. And Sheryl has that nice pink color I'm using that she picked out for me, the cream shiny. And we're going to add in a crisscross of pearls followed by our 5 by 15mm PC baguettes. And those are in a setting. So with my right needle and my left needle, to begin, I'm going to add, 1 11/0 on the right, 1 11/0 on the left, followed by 1 of my 4mm pearls on the right and 1 on the left. When you're using the Czech pearls, be aware that they are coated on a thread. We actually have a video showing how this coating process is done. It's kind of awesome. Sometimes you'll need to spin them on your needle, and it usually has a little tail there. That will come off as you're working with it. I usually try to take my needle through the end first. That does not have that tail. So you're going to have 2 on there, just like that. Your next one, we are going to cross through. So we're going to take our threads now, kind of separate them out. 1 thread is going to go from the right side to the left side, and the other needle is going to go from the left to the right. So it's going to poke through the opposite way. Once you have that through, you're going to take your thread and needle, and at this point, when you pull your bead down towards your piece, you want to make sure that you still have the same amount on the right strand and same amount on the left strand. So you can see that it sits kind of right like that, almost in that nice little triangle shape. From here, I'm going to take another one of my 4mm pearls, 1 on the right needle, 1 on the left needle. If you need to, you can always put down your needle and pick up the next one. And now we're going to put on our first baguette. So I'm going to go straight through the baguette. The baguette, again, is 5 by 15mm, and we're going to go straight through the back. Needle to the left hole, needle to the right hole, and then pull that down. And that just sits right like there, spread out next to it. From here then, we're doing the exact same thing over and over again till we get about 10 or 11 so of these nivettes, or of the baguettes in rather. All right, so next thing again to continue, 1 needle on the right has 1 bead, 1 needle on the left has another bead. Let those drop down. Pick up a 3rd bead where we have 1 needle go from the right side to the left side. Another needle crossing through, doing that diagonal, which we're also getting a right angle weave look. So if you want to do this with 1 needle, you can do it with 1 needle. Crossing through. Once I have that, I pull that down the whole way next to the piece. And then once you're there, again, one more pearl on the right, one more pearl on the left, slide on one of your rectangles, baguettes, and keep going. So you're getting this constant Xing effect right before the baguette. So at the start, all you'll see is the pearl X's along with the back of the actual baguettes. Once you're done with your length of just your pearls and your nivettes there, you can see that they sit a little bit off because I haven't pulled super tight. It's not a big deal because when we go back in, we're going to be running back through them, pulling a little bit tighter again. So I have here at the end 111.0 after my last 4mm bead, and then an 11.0 that both strands are going through, just like the other side. From here, just like the other side as well, I'm going to go through the wire guard or wire protector with one of my needles and thread, down the other side of the wire guard or wire protector, and then same deal with the other one, up through the wire guard. So this is going to put 2 strands of thread on this side of the clasp, which is going to be nice to reinforce it. And we'll do the same thing on the other side of the clasp as we get there. From here, before going back through that 11.0 seed bead, you want to make sure that you take both needles again, grab the other side of your clasp, take both needles through, make sure that's sitting right in that wire guard or wire protector. And now what we're going to do is we are going to take both needles and thread through the 11, back through to one side, out the pearl on the right, out the pearl on the left. Make sure that your thread is still intact inside your wire guard as you're doing this. Sometimes when you let go a little bit, it can kind of come to the other side. You want to make sure to keep it there. What we're going to do now is we are going to frame out our baguettes. So when you're framing out your baguettes, one thing to think of as you're working with them is that you want to make sure that the seed beads kind of stay to the edge. So at any time right now, we can go back and we can do the baguettes framed out, or you can do the crisscrossing of the beads along the top with the 15s. We're going to frame out our baguettes first with 7 seed beads, coming down both the right and the left needle as we work. So the next step of the design is to come out the 4mm bead that sits right next to the baguette. You're going to add 7 seed beads onto your thread and needle, and then you're going to sew straight down the next 2 4mm beads that sit in between the baguette. And you could also use crystals for this as your 4mm. They would look beautiful. You pull nice and tight straight through those 2, not through the middle bead. Add 7 more through the next 2 pearls, 7 more through the next 2 pearls. I've done 3 on the left side. You can see I'm coming down the right now, adding that through. And go ahead and continue to add as you go down the project, and then we'll glitz up the middle with some 15.0 seed beads. When you get to the end of the design and add in all of your 11s along the side of the baguettes, coming out the last 4mm bead, I want you to pick up one 11.0 seed bead and then sew into the second pearl. So we've been sewing right into the second pearl. This time you're just doing one 11.0 seed bead. We're going to use this opportunity to go up and reinforce this tongue portion of the clasp, going through the seed beads there, up through the wire guard. When you go through the wire guard, remember that you're also going through the clasp and then down through the wire guard on the other side and down through the seed beads. Where you want to exit when you're all finished here is you want to exit right after the first 4mm bead. So I just did this with my right needle, and I'm out ready in position to start adding my 15s, and I'm going to do the same thing with the left needle. So first thing is adding in that 11.0 seed bead, coming back through, reinforcing, and then exiting right after the 4 there. Coming out the ends now, coming out those 4mm, on both the right and the left needle, I want you to put 3 15.0 seed beads, and I'm using the jet or black color. Then you're going to put on one 11.0 seed bead. Just like we did with the pearls, that 11.0 seed bead, we're going to crisscross the needles through. So one needle's going right to left, and the other left to right. You get that nice crisscross effect sitting right on the top there. After that, you're going to add 3 more of your 15s on both the right needle and the left needle, and then you're going to go straight through your crystal baguette there. So again, 3 go on the left, 3 go on the right, straight through, whoops, straight through your baguette. At this point now, what we're going to be doing is crossing through your baguette, and we're not crossing through any of the side seed beads. So we're going to cross through the baguette, not through any of the side seed beads. Getting my seed beads untwisted there. Make sure they kind of stay to the top. You can see that nice crisscross effect. Coming out here, we're going to do the same crisscross effect, adding 3 of our jet, 1 of our 11/0 silvers, pick up the other needle, add your 3 jet, crisscross through that same 11, and now we're going to change the count to 2. So we're going to go from 3 of our 15s now to 2 15s. 1, 2 go on the right, and then we're going to cross through that middle pearl. Get on this side here. We're going to do 2 more of our 15s, cross through that middle pearl from the opposite direction. When you're coming out of the pearl then, you're going to add 2 of your jet 15s. So you get that nice cross look. 2 jet 15s go on, followed by 1 silver. And then if you want to, while you have this needle in your hand, go ahead and put 3 15s, and then go into the opposite side baguette. And you're going, again, straight through the back of the baguette and out the other side. With the other needle then, go ahead and pick up 2 15s, crisscross through that same 11/0 seed bead, and then when you're coming out next to the navette, or baguette rather, is when you do 3 of your jet. So 2 when you're going or coming out of the pearl, and then 3 going into or coming out of your baguette. That's going to create this crisscross effect the whole way down the center of the design. You can see how pretty it is depending on kind of what colors you play off and what colors you add into the design. If you want just that little pop of the pink in the middle and then doing all silver, or opposite like I'm doing here with the jet and then there's just the pop of silver. So there's a lot of varieties that you can change up. And again, I can't wait to see how everybody goes in and changes their design, whether or not they're doing more seed beads, less seed beads, crystals instead of the pearls. It's a really, really lovely design, and I'm excited to see all the varieties. So you're going to continue to go back here, adding 3 when you're coming out of the navette, 2 15s after crossing through the 11, and then cross through that pearl, and then again 2, and then 3 back to that nice baguette again. When you get to the end of the design and you have 3 coming out of your last baguette, and then crisscrossing through the 11, and then remember at the end, just like the beginning, we're doing 3. You're going to take your needle on the right and go up through the bead on the right. I'm also going through the 11/0 seed bead that's there. And I'm crossing over to the other 11/0. If you want to, you can reinforce the clasp, that's up to you. And I'm going down through that 11/0 on the other side. I'm going to let my thread and needle hang out there for a minute while I go up through that bead with the needle on the left. That brings the needle and thread in the same place. However, what I want to do is tie off my thread ends behind my baguette because it'll really, really kind of disguise really easily. So with the thread that's on the left-hand side then coming down, I'm going to go down through that 4mm bead, add in 1 11/0 seed bead, go down through the next pearl in line. So using that 11/0 to kind of catch on to those, just like we did on the other side. And then once I'm through that pearl here, make sure I'm not twisting into my other thread. Once I'm through that 4mm pearl, I'm going into the back of that baguette, and I'm going to put my needle kind of on an angle so that way I can try to pop it out through the top. If you can't, you can go down through the next section, and then I'm going to go back in with my needle and fish out the thread. So on this other side here, same deal, coming down the sides, going down through that 4mm pearl, Making sure my thread's not getting twisted around the top at all. Adding one more 11 in. Sewing down through the pearl. It's easier sometimes if you flip over to the back to see where the pearl thread line goes. Going through the pearl there, out the pearl, and then again to get those threads to cooperate, I'm going to go through the navette. Now you saw I went the whole way through the baguette. Sorry, I keep saying navette. Go the whole way through the baguette, take my needle off, and then I'm going to fish through the back of the navette, baguette there, bring the thread out, and then same deal with the other side. Tie the thread end in the back, joining the two together, and then burn down with my thread burner. Last thing I need to do is grab some glue. And I chose a clasp that I was going to glue in my Rivoli. I think it really sets off the bracelet and really makes it look quite luxurious. In her design, Sheryl used a button clasp as well. If you are along with me and you want to use the same Potomac's clasp, I have some Loctite glue here. I'm going to open it up, put some Loctite into the base there, not up the sides pretty much, just in the base. Put the lid on, grab your Rivoli, push it down in, and give it a little spin. If any of the glue comes out the sides, quickly kind of clean that off with your needle, scraping it off the edge, and then it'll dry up and your bracelet will be completed. Thanks so much for joining me in making Sheryl's Crystal Ice Bracelet. I just wanted to show you them on and how stunning and sparkly they are. They really, really look like high-end jewelry. They're going to be a showstopper. You're going to get tons of compliments and people are going to ask you to make them for them in all different colors. The great thing with the supplies are we have them in tons of different colors, so you can really make it your own if you want to make it more holiday themed, more wedding themed, mother of the bride, etc. So check out all the supplies by looking at the links below the video. Also comment below and let us know any changes that you made, color selections that you did and how they turned it out. You can also post your photos of them in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making and show off your crystal ice designs. Remember, if you haven't already, click that little subscribe button so you get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads, as well as give a little thumbs up to encourage Sheryl to keep bringing us awesome designs. As always, thank you so much. Enjoy your Crystal Ice Bracelet. Thanks once again to Sheryl, and thanks so much for watching.